Yo, it's Green Machine, gonna rock the town without being seen. Have you ever seen a turtle get down?
I want Hilary Swank in the next Terminator movie so bad.
There is nothing in this world that you give me to do to hug a robot.
It's because it's so incredible and intricate that it's impossible not to notice.
Music's the core of this movie.
Born again to watch this movie.
You'll find redeeming things and you'll be thinking about it for a long time afterwards.
There was no bone saw.
Just John hamming it up over here.
2.5 out of 3 of us recommend it. Everybody loves talking about movies. Let's talk about movies.
All right. Welcome, one and all, to another great session of the Pause, Rewind, Play podcast.
So much energy.
I don't know. Did I not do that very lively? Welcome, one and all, to the Pause, Rewind, Play podcast.
There it is.
Today we have a special guest, a colleague from work, actually my boss from work. His name is Jeremy. How you doing, Jeremy?
I'm doing good.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Despite you having stayed up all night with a sick child, I hope that you enjoy your time here.
Yeah, that's just life. It'll be good.
None of us have kids, so we just always hear stories, and we're just like, I don't know anything about that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sometimes it's worth it.
My dog wakes up at 3 a.m., needs to go to the bathroom, then climbs back in to bed, and that's it. I never have to worry about it. But
Do you have a doggy door?
yeah.
Sorry, that might be a little too personal.
No, I do have a doggy door, but I leave it. If I leave it open, the neighbors' cats come in and eat the dog food, but they
Oh,
make
how
a
dare
mess, and so I never leave it open. But when I do, I know they've been in here.
We don't have a doggy door, so my dog just freaks out. Stands there barking at us. All right, I'm coming.
Doggy doors are a safety measure. If you could get a kid door, I think I would invest in that when I decide to have a kid. But I don't know if that's like, if someone's going to listen to this, be like, we have to call Child Protection Services in case it gets
Kitty
kid.
door?
Yeah, kitty door.
Yeah, I dare you to go shopping for that. See what people think.
Just show up at the Home Depot. Do you guys have kid doors? Like dog doors? But let your kid
Just
out
something
at
they
night?
can crawl out. I'm tired of putting it outside to go to the bathroom.
I want them to be trapped, but not too trapped.
Yeah.
That's okay.
The perfect amount. Just right. Josh, how you doing today?
I'm excellent. Thank you for asking.
I'm glad. I haven't seen you since last week, so I feel like it's been like an eternity.
A whole week.
7 days.
How can we ever survive?
Oh man, when we get to what we talked about, I have some good
7
stuff.
days.
Vince, how you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah?
Yo, it's Green Machine, gonna rock the town without being seen. Have you ever seen a turtle get down?
You know that's going at the first of the episode.
I'm so excited. I freaking love doing these old movies.
Well, I was looking online at just a series of old movies that people should rewatch now. There's like 50 that I'm like, oh man, I've been wanting to watch this since
Yeah.
I was a kid,
Now
and I
you got an
never got to watch
excuse.
it. And I'm a full-grown adult who has a podcast about movies. I can do anything I
And
want.
we can keep putting Josh through this terrible, terrible experience.
Of movies that I've never seen before.
Yeah, that you have no like childhood nostalgia for.
Had you heard of the old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or do you just remember the reboot? Like, did you ever like have that connection?
So like I knew about them,
Yeah.
but I am a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle virgin. Or
This is your first
was.
experience?
I mean, I don't know, like maybe like once or twice. Like I'm just like at my
Oh.
grandparents' house and there's something on TV, you know, but like nothing pretty much ever.
Oh, this is gonna be fun
Yeah,
to talk
if
about.
I was going to pick anything for you to start and have you first, this would be it. That's perfect.
This is perfect. Okay, well, let's kind of dive in. Josh, what have you been watching this week?
I remember I was the one who told you guys like we need to be prepared with this part, so
Now
it's
you're not
focused
ready.
and to the point. And then I don't even remember because I know I watched something, but I literally have no clue. I know that I am excited for upcoming movies in March. We're recording this on Leap Day on February 29th, and I'm excited for March movies looking ahead. But I don't think I've been watching anything new recently. I've been catching up on The Walking Dead, but that's all I can think of. It's very, very whatever, but I don't really have anything else right now. So
Oh, well, whatever, man.
you know, whatever.
You can try again next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vince, what have you been watching?
I watched TMNT 1 the day before watching TMNT 2. The feel and tone between the movies are vastly different. But we'll get into that.
Yeah. And then, Jeremy,
That's all.
what have you been watching this week?
Yeah.
So I'm putting you on the spot.
No, I appreciate you asking me because this has been on my mind for a while, and this is going to be a great avenue for me to get this out there because everyone needs to be watching this show. So I'm a big fan of It's Always Sunny. I'm wearing a Dayman shirt today. Yeah. And Rob, who plays Mac in It's Always Sunny, has a new show on Apple TV Plus. It's called Mythic Quest to Raven's Banquet. I don't know if you guys have seen it or talked
Yeah, I
about it.
haven't. Is it out now?
Yeah, it's out. The whole season's out on there right
They
now.
dropped it all?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Yeah. So go get a free trial, watch the whole thing, whatever. You know? But it's super good. It's about a video game company that does really, really good. It's the best video game company in the world, and he's a creative director and works with all these people, but he hates everyone he works with, but they're all really talented. It's kind of like The Office, but for a video game studio. It's really awesome.
And isn't he super conceited?
Oh yeah, he plays just like Mac, and It's Always Sunny. It's kind of perfect. Yeah.
That's the thing is they've all the Sunny cast have gone off to do their own things, but they're all playing the exact same
Oh, yeah, they
characters,
just
just
play
in
the same.
different situations with different names.
Yep.
Did you watch AP Bio?
Yeah, I like that too. I kind of fell out after just a handful of episodes, but I really liked it. I thought Patton Oswalt was great in it too. It was good.
I loved AP Bio, and the Mick was good with D in it.
Yeah, it was
so
good.
I'll follow them anywhere.
Yeah, I think this one is my favorite out of all three of
Yeah?
those spin-off ones. Yeah.
Oh,
It's really
awesome! Yeah, I'll have to start that.
So, Jeremy, the other day you told me that I had to start where if I were to watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, after the second or third season? Or
Yeah.
just start at the beginning?
It's good to watch them all, but if you're trying to get caught on to that, start in the third season. I would say it's a good starting off point. It's
'Cause
classics.
I've never made it past episode 3 of the first season.
Yeah.
It doesn't have Danny DeVito yet,
Yep.
and they're all kind of figuring out who they are in that first season and what they're doing. But yeah, I agree with you. By season 3, you understand who they are.
Right?
They all get it.
The very first episode, they're in a bar, right? They're working in the bar. Is this what I'm thinking of? And then the lady brings a friend by? Or am I thinking of something else?
It's
Is-
been so long since I've watched the first
I'm
episode.
trying to remember what the pilot is. Is it the abortion one?
Is it?
I can't remember.
Look.
Anyway,
I can't remember, but yeah, we've never made it very far, and it's just kind of I see more and more of it the more Vince talks about it, and then I saw it on your computer, and you're like, do you not know who this is? And then you're like, you have to start watching it.
Yep.
And now you're wearing the Dayman shirt.
Yeah.
there's so many good quotes from that. One of my favorites is anytime that anyone I know is starting to feel sick, I just turn to them and I say, "Sickness be gone!"
Yep. Yep.
Sorry, I picked the mics again.
My favorite is when D gets the cat stuck in his wall, and he's like, cat in the wall, okay, now you're talking my language. It's really good.
Well, I might have to come in, just be like, Allie, we're gonna go for this, and then I might have to turn it into a solo show if she doesn't catch on. But
What have you been watching, Case?
oh boy, what a week of movies for Casey! We watched The Ring.
Ooh.
Oh man.
One,
so
two,
the 7
three,
days
the reboot?
reference was
The
intentional.
7 days reference was intentional. So yeah, we watched The Ring. We rewatched it, and it reminded me. Oh man, I remember being 12 or 13, watching this for the first time and being like, "What the freak? I'm sketched out." And so it was way good. And then
The first time I watched that was with you, I think, when we lived together.
in the basement at your house.
That was the very first time I'd ever watched it.
So Josh and I watched so many movies when we were roommates.
So many horror movies.
Yeah, I was gonna say just all sketchy, thrilling horror movies, and then Mad Men and That 70s Show and
How I Met Your Mother.
How I Met Your Mother. Yeah, we kept it real in the basement.
Nice.
And then also I watched TMNT 2. I also watched this morning Guardians of the Galaxy just because I was sad that it lost in our Marvel bracket, and so was Allie, and so we're like, we're watching it. We were like, we're gonna watch it last night, and we watched something else, and it must not. Oh no, we watched Knives Out last night too, and it was amazing.
Yeah, it's so good.
It was like $6.99 to rent on Apple TV because I'm too lazy to drive anywhere else, and I was like, I'm just gonna buy it, and it was worth buying, so it was awesome. So yeah, there's my. I watched a lot of TV this week, right?
Love it.
Yeah. Yes. Are we ready to talk what we're talking this week? Vince, you got
I'm
some
so
deets for
ready. Yep, I got lots of
us?
deets.
Do you want to just give us a brief, a quick announcement? What are we watching this week, Vince? What are we talking that we watched this week, Vince? That's
The
more
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: Secret of the Ooze.
Jeremy recommended it.
Again, thank you.
Yes. Anytime.
Vince was actually super pumped when I brought it up.
My first reaction was, Casey says he wants to watch TMNT 2, and I was like, wait, do you mean the original? He's like, no, the second one. Why?
Do you understand why now?
No, I grew up on the
Okay,
second
all
one,
right.
but as an adult, like the first one is just like so much better. The second one is it's a cartoon come to life.
Yeah, it's
And so that's why it
saying that
confused me.
cartoon come to life is not better, Vince.
I mean, this is not a bad movie.
I mean,
One of the most fun movies, but it's so childish.
that's great.
And I want to hear what Josh has to say as a virgin to this whole, a TMNT virgin to this whole thing. But let me run through the,
My wife's right there, Vince.
do we need to bring her and ask her?
I don't know if that means anything, let's be honest.
Moving on.
All right, so directed by Michael Pressman, written by Todd Langland, Release date was March 22nd, 1991, and this movie came out within less than a year from the first one. The producers of the movie were very scared this was a lightning in a bottle situation because they made a ton of money off the first one, and they're like, we got to get the second one out ASAP. And so they went right into production, released it within less than a year, like way fast. Budget, $25 million, and it grossed just a little bit over $78.5 million. A big portion of the budget, because they had already built the turtle suits and everything and all that kind of stuff, they didn't need to, they just kind of tweaked them and bettered them. They didn't need to like put all this money into researching how to do it. So a big portion went into music for this movie. And hiring Vanilla Ice and having him write a song for the movie, and then lots of like 90s hip hop or rap or whatever you call it, Rotten Tomatoes gave it a fantastic critic score of 35%,
Ooh, that's great.
an audience score of 67%, and the IMDb consensus is a 6.0. You want to guess how many Oscar nominations this got? Josh?
4.
3.
No, I got 0. There's no
was
Oscar
like-
nominations.
I was like, maybe like best original score. It's just not original. I don't know. I was like,
No, I got nothing.
okay. I got really scared for a second.
So this is starring Paige Turco as April O'Neil, who was recast. She was not in the original. I have a fun fact about that we can get to later. David Warner as Professor Perry. Michelin Sisti as Michelangelo, Leif Tilden as Donatello, Ken Scott as Raphael, Mark Casso as Leonardo, Kevin Clash as Splinter, Ernie Reyes Jr. as Kino, and Francis Chow, I'm pretty sure that's how you say his name, as Shredder. Ernie Reyes Jr., also in great movies such as Surf Ninja. Anyone know that one?
No.
It's one of those great ones that were riding this surfing and ninja trend of the 90s, along with like Three Ninjas and all those kind of things.
I love Three Ninjas, guys. I think I talked to you about
Yeah.
this, didn't I? Three Ninjas, like, after I watched this, I went back and I was like, what movies did I watch? They remember, sorry to call out my parents, that we recorded the Three Ninjas on a VHS tape, like, while it was playing on the TV. I remember it going to commercial and having these sharp cuts
Yep.
and then, like, abruptly picking back up. And I was like, that's my childhood.
Yeah, I had a bunch of those, like Alien 3, but we had the commercials into it. You had to get up and fast forward through them all the time.
That's funny.
And so just to throw out that fun fact about April, and well, no, we'll get into that later. I'll talk about that later. And that's it. So we're wrapping up here, I guess. No one else has some.
Another great episode of the Pause While I Play podcast.
And that's all you need to know about Ninja Turtles 2.
So when you're saying, like, lightning in a bottle, they just really wanted to push these out back to back. And just because they knew that there was this wave that they had to hit before they wouldn't get any more money.
Yeah,
right?
which blows my mind because the Turtles were like the thing in the 90s. Like there was Turtles toys, there was Turtles towels, there was Turtles underwear, Turtles bed stuff.
I
Like,
had the Turtles bed set as a kid, all the way up to like 2000. I would still go pull it out sometimes when I needed to like change bedding.
Yeah.
If my wife would let me, I'd have it now.
It's so good though. I remember everything as a kid being Turtles. I had like tons of Ninja Turtles.
And it's
stuff.
so funny if you go on YouTube and look up some of the like old news stories about the Ninja Turtles because they're just like it's really old news anchors and stuff. And it's like turtle craze as is sweeping the nation as it's just like this old really poorly done news editing and everything and speaking and just like talking about this child property because the 90s cartoon. Let's all be honest.
Yeah.
We love it, but it was very childish cartoon and a very 90s type TV show.
Yeah.
And so I just don't understand why they were worried. Like, everybody loved the Turtles. Anyway, what are your first impressions of this movie?
I want to go to Josh first because he's the noob to the Ninja Turtles, and I want to hear what do you got to say. What do you feel? And then we'll go to Jeremy after that.
I'm not gonna lie. So when I heard that we were doing this and I looked it up and I was looking at it and I saw a couple of I watched like an old school like trailer for the movie and stuff like that. I was like, oh my gosh, like another one of these old movies and like it'll be like funny or anything like that. But I was not excited. I was actually like super turned off to it, and it took me forever to finally like commit to it. I literally watched this movie like 3 hours ago. It's like I was literally just like, Willow. I have to finally watch this. Like, let's sit down and do it. And there was definitely a lot of the movie where I was just watching it and just being like, what is this 90s bullcrap? But then there was so much, especially as you got towards the end and everything, and you had the music picking up, and like, you know, they did like cool stuff with the fighting. I was genuinely entertained, and it was fun, and it was silly, and I just like, I'm like, this was an okay to spend an hour and a half. So I did enjoy it. I will say right now that I will probably not hardly remember like any of the names or anything like that, because as you know, this is my first experience with it, but I enjoyed it. It was funny. It was good.
How dare you say 90s bullcrap? The 90s was the peak of life.
I know. There was good stuff. That's why I said like this was 90s bullcrap.
Giant.
Not this wasn't, but there were parts where I was like, what is this?
Big old skateboards.
Yeah.
Women's shoulder pads that go out to like their arms reach.
The very first time I saw what's the weird fox's dude named Splinter or something.
Splinter?
Yeah.
He's a rat.
He's a rat.
He's a rat.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I can't believe you don't know anything about turtles.
I don't. I'm
Wow.
sorry.
This is great.
He
Tell somebody
freaking
about
like
it.
he walked down the stairs and I was just like, what is that?
I love how like zen he is like the whole time too. Like you can't take him like seriously because he's a freaking rat. It's like I remember being creeped out by
He's a
him.
fox.
Yeah.
No, he's a rat. Yeah.
Did the ooze get him too?
Yeah. So it covers the origin in the first one.
So that's why I missed it. I was gonna watch both of them, but I put it off. So
Do you want
I
to
could not.
catch Josh up on the origins of the Ninja Turtles?
I mean, they kind of touch on it in this one, right? Like,
Okay.
Because so much
company-
it has to do with like the ooze.
Yeah,
taking
the
that
ooze
and
falls
stuff.
into the sewers, and then the turtles mutate and grow up, and then isn't Splinter? He was like trained by a ninja or whatever. He was like a pet rat to an actual like ninja, yeah. And then he
Wait, that might be Shredder's name. I can't remember.
and then he found his way in the sewers, I believe, and then he was already ninja trained, and so he trained the turtles how to be ninjas when they kind of mutated and stuff. So.
So they got this ooze on them,
Yeah.
and now anytime they say cowabunga, they turn into this human form and fight. I'm
That's
just
not
kidding.
true.
That's Shazam.
I was like,
Oh right, because they do say that.
Shazam.
I will say though that I never knew that like cowabunga would be like the phrase to say. Like they were saying, because I did like, if anything, I knew that about the Ninja Turtles. Like someone says like cowabunga, I was like, okay, like I know that's like Ninja Turtles thing, you know.
Uh-huh.
They say that, and then like during the movie they said it, and I thought it would just be like so cheesy and stuff like that. But I'm like, yo, I'm digging this. Cowabunga, it is, guys.
Have you ever tried to say cowabunga just in like regular real life experience?
No.
I don't think it'd work.
Never. It doesn't.
You're just
I've
like in
tried.
a meeting, and they're just like, yeah, we got to go on full force on this new marketing strategy, guys. And you're just like, cowabunga,
Cowabunga.
it is.
You know, I remember very specifically a moment in my life down at the swimming pool, and I ran and did like a big jump off the diving board. And I was like, cowabunga, and then hit the water. And like as I'm sinking down, I was like, that sounded really dumb.
You were missing the freeze frame. That was the problem.
That's what it was.
The mid-air stop.
Yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, Vince.
So I got a fun fact that kind of pertains to cowabunga.
Okay.
Was anyone else really confused at that moment where they're mixing the potions together and they put it in a glass and the professor turns the glass and it's Bart Simpson like right in your face?
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there like, why?
Why-
What is this product
why
placement?
Bart?
Like, literally the only reason they did that is because back when Simpsons first started, cowabunga was kind of Bart's catchphrase.
Yep.
And so it was just kind of a call to that. And I was like, real confused.
It was so big, you know, because a lot of times they'll have product placement where you can see like the full logo, but it's still like normal size. This one, the dude's like holding the thing out in front of him, so it takes up like a third of the frame. It's just like Bart Simpson.
The Simpsons.
So what was your first introduction to Turtles?
As a kid, I've known them forever. Like,
Just
I
grew up with them,
I
right?
grew up with them. Like, I knew them, and so it was like, to me, like when Jeremy like really is like, I think I asked you, I was like, are you serious? Like, because I wasn't quite sure if I heard it right. I was like thinking, like, what is it, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like the Shadow one that they made like a couple years ago that was a huge flop. Megan Fox was in that one.
Out of the Shadows.
Out of the
I think the name was
Shadows,
called.
that's what it is.
Which I just have to say, the first one, garbage. The
Yeah.
second one, Michael convinced me to go to it. I'd written it off completely. Michael went to it. He's like, no, this one's not as bad. Went and saw it. It's not as bad. It's actually, it felt like again, like the comic book come to life instead of like trying to do this, whatever they did.
Yeah, I mean, still bad, but not
Still
bad.
bad.
No, I've just grown up with it. So, like, I remember watching it as a kid. Like, I kid you not, like, I would cycle between, like, the Three Ninjas, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Do you guys remember, like, the knockoff, oh gosh, I can't remember, Street Sharks, like that cartoon?
Oh, heck yeah. We had all the
And,
toys.
like, all of that kind of stuff. Like, that's what I kind of, like, float around with. And then, like, Western movies that my dad loved. And so, like, I had quite the array. Ninjas and Cowboys. Like, I wish there was a movie called Cowboys and Ninjas that wasn't garbage.
No, that was garbage.
Probably a bunch
we
of
don't
B
speak of
films.
that.
Jeremy, tell
Yeah, what about
us-
you, man? Where did you first?
Yeah. So this movie particular. So to give you some clarification, of why I would probably say I wanted to start with the second one, right, and not just say let's watch the first one. Is back in the day, I had this movie, but it was the only one I had, and it was on VHS, and it was just a recording of the television of it on like some channel or whatever. So that's just what I had. I didn't have the first one. I've seen the first one on TV, but I didn't have it recorded or anything. So I would just play it over and over and over and over again in my home. So this is the one I'm most familiar with. So when I think about nostalgia in my childhood, like this is it. This movie.
I had the exact same experience, exact same of what you
Yeah?
just said, but with TMNT 3.
Oh, that's too bad.
No.
No.
I know that it's widely considered a terrible movie. We loved that movie. I didn't have access to 1 and 2. I saw them, here and there, but we had 3 sitting on the shelf. We watched the crap out of that movie. So much. Turtles in samurai costumes, man. The toys were freaking awesome. Like, I get it. It's probably bad. I haven't seen it in 20 years, but man, do I have good memories of that.
Yeah.
But I think that has to be. It's got to be either TMNT 3 or the 90s cartoon series, because we had a VHS tape of the 90s cartoon episode with the pepperoni monsters. Do you remember that one?
Pepperoni monsters. I mean, it sounds very like when you say that, I'm like, yeah, that sounds right.
So I can't remember if it's like if the pepperonis get wet, they turn into these big old monster things or something. But it's just some of this, like you said, Josh, some of this 90s bull crap where it's just like, we're turtles and we're ninjas and we love pizza and now the pizza's a monster. It's just like so great.
Talking about pizza, did that look like the best pizza of your entire life? in this
Oh
movie?
my gosh. I was literally like mid Panda Express and I was like looking down. I'm like, what is this? I don't want this. I want a good old cheesy slice of pizza right now.
I genuinely thought about making pizza just for this episode,
too.
and then I just missed the boat. I guess I was like running late, and I was like, we gotta clean. You still gotta take the dog out. And I'm like, I don't have time for everything.
I've
So-
got a pizza fun fact.
Oh,
That pizza that they used to throw around, also the pizza they used in Ernest Scared Stupid.
Really?
Yep.
That is a really random fact.
Thank you, IMDb.
Alrighty, there you go.
well, now we know.
Has this been, because obviously I haven't seen the other Ninja Turtle movies, but let's just say, like, if you combine all the Ninja Turtles movies, are these the movies that use pizza more than any other movie ever? Like, do you guys know any other movies that use pizza more than the Ninja Turtle movies?
I don't think so. The pizza was so like ingrained into this property,
Yeah.
Literally, like, the first 2 minutes of this movie is just people walking around. Do they have, like, New York? Like, where is
Yeah,
it?
Yeah, New York.
New York, just eating pizza. Like,
These
I'm
big
loving
fat slices. You just fold those suckers in half and eat them like a sandwich.
I liked the couple that's sitting there making out, and then they take a break to take a big old bite of their pizza, and then go back to making out again.
Yeah. Well, in the first one, Domino's was a big product placement too, because they played on the whole like 30 minutes or less thing and didn't get there in 30 minutes, so they got it for free, that whole type of stuff. So
What does he say? Confucius says, never pay full price for late pizza.
yeah, that's what
Yes,
it was.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah. When I was watching this film, I just felt, and I think I said this last week too when we were talking to Willow, I just felt like a little kid playing on the floor in front of my like parents' like big box television with all my toys and action figures and Legos, and my dad coming down and be like, "Pick this crap up," and I'd be like, "But I'm watching, I'm playing as I go." It was like, my dad was not a mean guy or anything like that, but you know, it's just kind of like that, cleaning stuff up. You're messy, and it's just like, but I'm having fun. So yeah, that's what I felt the whole time I was watching this. Like, and I watched it twice. I just want everyone to know that. Like the first time I like watched it in the middle of the week, and I was like, "Wow, hello, old friends." I think I tweeted that or like Instagram videoed that, and I was like, "What a great life this is." And I watched it again this morning when I woke up. So I'm loving it. Where are we going next? Sorry,
So-
I'm just kind of rambling.
One of my favorite questions. It's kind of a get to know you question that I use all the time. Because like the turtles are specifically, every turtle has a specific personality, right? So it's basically a personality question. Who is your favorite Ninja Turtle and why? Who if you were going to describe yourself as a Ninja Turtle, which one would you guys be? And why?
I've spent a lot of time thinking about this, so I'm prepared for this answer. For me, my answer is Michelangelo. I've just always loved Mikey. To me, he's the silliest one. He's goofy. In a lot of the other movies, he's usually the one that skateboards, and I kind of grew up skateboarding and stuff too, probably because of this show. Got me into that. So for me, definitely Mikey. I do think the right answer is Raphael, but Mikey is my favorite.
I think most people would say Raphael.
Yeah.
I've spent a very long 45 seconds thinking about this. And my answer is the purple one.
Yeah, Donnie.
Is that
Donatello.
Okay.
Donatello.
Donatello. Because even though he's sort of like, a lot of times he could just be like the rest of them, just like sort of, you know, like, "What's up, dude?" and all that stuff. But then at times, you know, like under pressure and stuff, he can stop and say like, hey, this is what we actually need to do. Like, let's be smart about this. So I'd say Donatello then.
I mean, he's the nerd. You know that, right? Just kidding.
Yeah.
This guy's the number
That's
guy.
me.
too.
That
So-
makes sense. All right.
Actually, what we should do is we should find research, Josh, on this whether pizza sales spiked during the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle era,
Interesting.
and see what happened after
I'm not
that.
that much of a nerd.
Oh, I'm curious. I'm just saying, you would know how to find that data before I would. I'm also a Michelangelo because I am carefree.
Which one's Michelangelo? Is he
He's
the
the
blue
orange
Orange one.
Oh, orange
With the nunchucks.
Yeah.
Leonardo's the blue one.
Cold. What does he say? He says a cold cut something at the very beginning when they fight the bad guys.
Trying to remember.
Oh, I remember that was like the first time that I like actually laughed.
Oh, with
Yeah.
the when he
This
grabs
movie.
the meats,
Oh, yeah.
the
Grabs the
sausages
meats
or whatever, and
things.
he uses it as nunchucks. Nunchucks.
Because I remember that was like the
Nunchucks.
first like little like because they have their little like one-liners or even like one or two like word things that they just yell that are like hilarious.
Mhm.
I remember that was the first time that I like actually laughed and been like, okay, this
Yeah.
movie could be good. I don't know. I'll have to look it up.
And I think Donnie's acting as like a punching bag during that too. And
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
That scene was the most New York scene ever, like the most New York moment of any film ever. It was just kind of like, here we are in a deli fighting.
yeah.
So speaking of the nunchuck cold cuts,
Yes.
so I brought it up earlier. First, I just have to say Donatello is easily the best of the Ninja Turtles. Donatello is the smart one who is also ready, like you said, Josh, to have a good time at any moment. And he also plays kind of the big brother role to Michelangelo, like all the time. Whenever like Mikey's kind of being picked on, Donnie's right there playing like the older brother, like, no, you got it, man. That joke didn't work, but you got it. Anyway, I'm a Donatello all the way. So, fun fact about the the nunchuck meets. If you notice throughout this entire movie, none of the Ninja Turtles ever use their weapons. Not in a single moment.
Why?
They're using yo-yos. They're using cold cuts. I think Donatello might use a stick
He
one.
uses his staff, doesn't
His
he?
staff. Okay, so Donnie's the only answer.
But they have like their swords on their back the entire movie.
They always
never
have
pull them out.
So
Oh, I think you told me about this already.
I think I did when I was ranting. When I was like, TMNT 2, but like, why aren't we watching the serious like family drama of the first one, you know? So what happened was the first TMNT movie came out. The creators of the comic said that they wanted it to be more like the original comic book that was released, which was violent and which was dark and gritty. And then the 90s picked up and they made Turtles kid friendly, and it got huge. So the first movie is very much based on that original comic book. When this movie came out, the mothers of the world rioted. Everyone was like, this is a kid's property. Why is this so dramatic? And why is this so violent? There's cussing in it. Like, it's very serious. Raphael almost dies at one point. And the mothers of the world were like, what is this? This is too violent. And so the producers panic, and they decided we need to make TMNT fast, and we need to make TMNT child friendly, which means no using of the weapons. Every punch, every kick can't feel like it has any weight to it. It needs to feel very soft, and it needs to like switch the focus of like the pain to something more of like a comedic joke or something like that. So you'll notice like every fight scene is very choreographed around a specific thing. For example, when they're going after the Ooze, it's more of a tossing a football back and forth to each other than like actually fighting the foot soldiers. So we have the Mothers of America to blame for a childish movie.
I actually noticed that throughout this film, there were a number of times where I was like, they're not actually hitting a spot. Or like, there was one point, I can't remember, like when he's rolling in his turtle shell in the big fight scene, and like, oh, we have to talk about the junkyard at one point, like their junkyard ninja army training ground.
Yeah.
I was like, he's rolling and people are just like diving out of the way like they got hit. And I was like, they must have had to like soften this up a little bit, I think. I don't know. It just like felt like there was some things that were a little bit forced at times. But I loved it though. At the same time, I was like, yeah, this is my childhood. People ninja kicking people.
Well, I agree 100%. Instead of like focusing on the violence of it all, it's more of a comedy than an action than anything, right?
Yeah.
Can I tell you why I don't think that worked for the Mothers of America, though? Is because I remember growing up and watching this movie and thinking, being a bad guy doesn't seem so bad. Like, it doesn't seem like it'd be the awful. It seems kind of fun, actually. Like, I remember thinking, like, nah, that'd be a sweet life. Especially, like, from the first one, right? When the Foot Clan, their headquarters in there, they have, like, arcade games and skateboarding ramps and all sorts of stuff. I'm like,
Yeah, it's like a party place.
If I were, like, a teenager around this time, I'd probably join the Foot Clan. Like, I'd probably do it.
I'd be a bad guy.
Combat cold cuts. Sorry.
That's right. That's right.
Combat cold cuts.
I loved Michelangelo's Around the World joke with his yo-yo at the beginning, too. When he's like, walk the dog, da-da-da-da-da, and then around the world, and all of a sudden it's like, tunk, 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 tunk. Like, it just sounds like very goofy.
Yeah, and when they are at the junkyard and they're being fought, a bunch of the Foot Clan get on Mikey and start beating him up, and he finds a way out of the thing and is just standing watching them beat up nothing from the side.
It's like punching the ground.
Yeah.
I love it, like all of these fight scenes, because obviously they have to focus on the certain people. I just love how in all of these fight scenes, always in the background, you have like another 50 members of the Foot or whatever, all just standing there swinging their swords, like, we're ready.
Yeah, they're really good at taking turns. They're really polite.
We don't want to take all the glory here. Like, you guys go first, and you guys get beat up, then we'll get beat up second, okay? Like, we want our bruises to be a little more fresh than yours.
I found that so distracting, too, because they're literally just like looking back and forth at each other, like, what are we doing? And then you'll see Shredder just standing like maniacally in the background, not doing anything with his hands on his shoulders, just watching this crappy little battle go down.
Yeah. When they're in the TGRI headquarters, when they come in and the Foot Clan's there's like a higher level where there's like 6 of them up there and they're just playing with their weapons dancing while they're fighting below. I'm like, get down there. Like,
Do
try to stop
something.
them.
Because eventually they jump down, right?
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
see them jump down and then they start fighting. But the rest of the time, when there's still like the fight going on and they're pretending it's football, you see those guys up there just with their swords. I'm like, wow, these guys suck.
And then they even give them like a little bit of time to have this little group huddle to talk about what they're gonna do. While all these like 50 foot soldiers are just standing there like,
around.
no, take your time, plan
They're
things
like,
out.
Wait a second, huddle. Like, we gotta get a different strategy up in here.
But, like, do you guys ever remember being a kid and, like, being with your friends and being like, we're gonna go, like, fight these kids or something like that, like, on the playground when you were a kid, and then all just ganging up and the other people were over there ganging up too, and, like, you're giving each other time to, like, plan to play tag or whatever or beat each other up, and then you're like, oh, we didn't really need that. We could just ran into this. And that, like, that's what it reminded me of. Like, really, I felt so much like I was, like, between the age of, like, 4 and 9 years old this entire movie again. And I was, like, laying on the couch just like it, too. I was like, so it was perfect. Like, watching this, it, like, took me back so much. And, like, what was funny about watching this, too, is, like, when we get to, like, scenes, like, different spots, like, when they find their lair down in the caboose, like, in the old railway station, I was like, I remember this.
yeah,
I
yeah.
remember the excitement I had as a kid. Like, it's spooky. It's got a train car. And, like, then I was, like, thinking Boxcar Children. I'm, like, all this stuff. Like, throughout this movie, it was, like, taking me to different eras of my life. And I was, like, I must have watched this more than I thought as a kid. Like, it was fun to, like, reminisce on it. But it was also fun to, like, find the little holes that you're like, wait a minute. That doesn't work. That wouldn't have worked in real, like, a legit action film, right? Like, nobody's gonna be like, oh, time out for a moment. This would be more like a Taika Waititi film. Like, oh, let's sarcastically, oh, we need to take a break. Hold on. Oh, okay, we're ready. Let's go. I don't know.
Yeah, when I was about 12, so I was still very much into Ninja Turtle. I mean, I still am today, right? It hasn't changed. But when I was still very much into that, my family went on a cruise up the West Coast, and we stopped in Seattle, and we went to a museum there, and it was a music museum or whatever. But they had the Jim Henson exhibit there when we were there.
Oh, cool.
And we went and saw.
The EMT experience. The EMP.
Yeah,
Experience
that's where it was. Yeah,
Museum. Okay.
they had Jim Henson exhibit there, so I could have seen all these puppets and Big Bird and all these things. I went right to the Ninja Turtle suit, and they had the suits from the movie there and saw them, and it was like crazy to see them in person. What was kind of nuts about it that I didn't realize that they told us when we were there is all of them, the colors of their headbands were white, and they did that digitally. They put in the red and the purple and the blue, all that stuff, which I thought was kind of surprising. But yeah, it was just white, so you saw the Ninja Turtle costume was just white cloth. It was crazy.
Weird.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Because it looks like perfectly
Yeah,
like
it looks
it's
really
painted.
good. Yeah.
And that's why it got its Oscar, Josh.
Yeah.
For the
There you go.
headbands.
Best visual effects.
Yes.
1991.
I would. Could you like see into the suits, like into the heads pieces and everything, or it just kind of like? Set
No,
up so
there
you
was
could
like
see
a
outsides?
like through the mouth, but it was so dark on the inside I couldn't like see because it was behind glass. It wasn't like I go up
yeah,
and
yeah.
like get real
Touch
close
it
to
or
it.
anything.
But
Sneak behind and get in the Ninja your suit yourself.
yeah,
Yeah. Well,
Hold on, because you've talked about this now, I have to bring this up. So the EMP is probably my favorite place to visit in Seattle when I go up there because they switch out the exhibits once in a while. So Allie and I have been up there and we've seen the Star Trek one, we've seen Star Wars. Like when I was there as well, they had a Terminator one, Vince, which you would
I'd
have
love
loved.
that.
And then they had another. I'll have to look. I have tons of photos from it because I've been there 4 times now. It's amazing. So,
that's so
if
cool.
you ever get the chance to go to Seattle, I will plug this any day. Go to the EMP. I don't know if you're going to see the Ninja Turtle suits again, but there is going to be something and you're going to be like, this is freaking awesome.
that's on my list of like nerdy things to do is get up there to see that stuff.
Yeah.
Because I've heard like everyone's like, yeah, you're gonna go to Seattle, you can see the Space Needle or whatever it's called. I don't know. I'm like, I want to go to the Nerd Museum.
yeah,
They're right next door to each
Yeah,
other,
they're right
like
there.
20 feet away, so you can go to both in one time.
That's awesome.
But no.
Well, I bring up the costumes because like the amount of work that Jim Henson and the team put into those things is like crazy cool. There was a little video that they that I watched that talked about like the creation of it all and like what it actually sounded like or felt like being inside that suit, and it just sounds like your own personal hell.
Yeah.
Like
have you seen the video of those guys like on or the picture? Like they're just these like so sweaty. They're just like looking like they've ran like 2 marathons, and they're just happy though because it looked like they like really enjoyed themselves. But yeah, it looks terrible.
I actually brings me to my April O'Neil fun fact that I was going to bring up earlier.
Yes.
So, Judith, Hoag is how you spell her last name. Judith Hoag.
Hogue.
She was not called in to reprise her role as April O'Neil from the first one after the director was unhappy after she defended the way they mistreated the stunt doubles and their unfair schedule changes.
Oh.
If you watch some of those like old making of videos, the suits are heavy and they are hot and they demand a lot of work, and these guys just put in so much. And like one of the videos that I watched, they're like, yeah, like they have a smile on their face and everything, you know, but they're just like, yeah, it gets really hard after being in this suit all day, and it starts out really light, but then after 30 pounds worth of sweat gets soaked into the suit, it just gets worse and worse and worse. And you see them like take off one of the helmets and they're just like drenched in sweat. But you flip it around and it's really cool and technological. Like it's all, it used to be done with wires and they built it into like the suit itself. But for TMNT, they built a lot of the like facial animation structures and stuff, or like movements and stuff, into the actual head of the suit. And so one of the guys who's in the suit was talking about like what's it like wearing it, and he says it's really loud listening to all the like movements and stuff. And then it's the facial animations are performed by puppeteers outside the screen, and it's like sent over the air. What do you call that? Like
Digitally,
like it's not
wirelessly, radio.
wirelessly, and it's like this like cool little hand setup. It's really cool. You should check out some of the behind the scenes on this one. It's cool. But Last fun fact about the turtle stuff. Keto, the guy who plays Keto in this, the little Asian kid that's freaking good at karate and delivers pizza, he was the stunt double for Donatello in the first one. And they loved him so much, they wrote him a part for the TMNT 2.
Really?
Which kicked off his career, yeah.
I freaking loved his like line right at the beginning when he's like out like delivering pizza, and then they gets in the fight in the like the hallway. It's like, oh yeah, I studied karate or kung fu or something like that. I was like, I like this guy a lot already.
Yeah,
like,
he's
it was,
good.
Like, good.
He's freaking good. There's a reason he's cast in Surf Ninjas.
I have to watch it.
You
Did
wouldn't
you-
like Surf Ninjas. Josh, you would not like Surf Ninjas.
Did you see the actor's picture on IMDb though? Like what he looks like now? Man, that makes me feel old.
Really?
He was 19 in that movie, what, in 1991? So, yeah, he's in his 40s now, right? So,
Oh, I
if
bet
not
he
more
looks
than that.
way
So,
different.
I guess 50s, yeah. It's just interesting.
Now I'm gonna look it up.
So do you guys have any favorite lines from this movie?
So my favorite one that made me laugh the loudest was probably the very end of the movie, where they get back to their cave and what's his name, Splinter, is sitting there, and they're like, hey, like we did it, what's up? And he's like, you guys went out? And they're like, yeah, we took care of the bad guys. And he's like, and no one saw you. And they're like, no, we practice like the ninja art of stealth. And he shows the newspaper, and it's like turtle rap invented or something like that. And they're just like,
What is it? Practice harder.
practice harder. And then they go to start doing the flips again, and it freeze frame.
What did you
The
think of his
end.
the final line of the movie?
What was the final
I made
one?
another funny.
I made another. That one I didn't like as much. I was like, oh my gosh.
That's how the first one ends. Is I made a funny.
Oh,
And so
really?
that's it's a callback to the original.
I made another fun. Yeah, that was definitely, that made me like laugh out loud super hard when they were like, we practice stealth.
Did you
Ninja
notice how like
rap
Michelangelo
invented.
like leans out from behind? I can't remember if it's Raphael or one of the other turtles. Like we practice the art of ninja, and then Mikey like leans out.
I didn't see that. No. That was probably. I know there's like a lot of like little like one-liners and stuff that made me chuckle, but that one was definitely the funniest for me.
I think I enjoyed the concert the most, like when they're in there and the guy behind the scenes, like controlling the soundboard and stuff. He's like, "Who are these extras? Who hired these?" And then he's like, "Call the police." And then like the guy comes like, "Got the police." He's like, "Hang up on them. Like they love these guys." And I was like, "That's funny." And then they're just like dancing and saying all that stuff. And then the other line when the two like the what is it, the dog and the mutant crazy
Toka and Razor.
sketchy turtle.
Is that how you say that?
Yeah, Toka and Razor, yeah.
Yeah. They're like, they're babies. Like,
Yeah.
well, what'd you expect?
Loved that.
It was good.
He's like-
It was good.
They're like, release them. And then the monster Toka and Razor walk out, and he's like, attack me if you will. By the end of this, you will recognize me as master. And then the two Toka and Razor look at each other like, Mama? Mama? And then Shredder's best line, babies! They're babies!
Yeah, that's really great.
Rest in peace, my dog.
For me, when it's at the beginning of the movie, and this happens a few times throughout the movie, where each of them will say just some line and try to one-up each other, or like say some really dumb pun or something like that. And so they're each saying like rad or tubular or gnarly or something, right? And then Mikey just says Frere Jacques. Is that what it was? Yeah, yeah.
Because he goes like through a few, and they're like,
Yeah.
nope.
Nope.
And he's like, this one, nope. And it's like, oh, I got it. Frere Jacques. And
Yeah.
you're just like, okay. Buddy,
So
stop.
in the first movie, that's how they landed on Cowabunga, is they were all like, tubular, no, da-da-da, no. And then Splinter's like, I've always enjoyed Cowabunga. Like, Cowabunga! Which I also loved how they used it in the end of this movie, where they think Shredder's dead and they're on the dock like waiting there, and they're like, well, I guess that's it. So Cowabunga? Yeah, Cowabunga? Yeah. All right, Cowabunga.
I like that they were kind of like aware of the movie process too. They're kind of like, that was it. They're kind of like, well, that's it. Let's
we did it.
Let's go. Oh, we did it. And they like pokes his hand. And they're like, oh, no one can survive that.
He does that like 3 times in
Yeah.
this movie where his hand pops up. Is it 3?
Yeah, I think
'cause
it's 3.
the beginning when he's crawling out of the garbage dump.
Yep.
And then again when they throw him out and he pops out of the water. Or is it the dock? No, he
The
punches
dock.
through the dock.
Yeah.
And then he does it the 3rd time when his arm pops out again and then he ends up dying.
And he's gone. Actually, I also forgot about this line when they first see I just forgot who are the two other mutants.
Toka and Razor.
Toka and Razor. They're like, hey, didn't we see these guys on WrestleMania? And I was like,
Yeah.
that's like so good. Like, 'cause I remember like being that age and being like, you see the WWE guys, and like, yeah. Terrifying as a child, but fun as an adult. But yeah, no, that's really cool.
One more fun fact about Toka and Razor. They wanted to use Bebop and Rocksteady for the movie, but the original creators of the comics said, no, don't use those guys. Use someone new. They didn't want them to use Bebop and Rocksteady.
Really?
Yeah, which is weird.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame because Bebop and Rocksteady are awesome.
Yeah.
They really
really
are.
cool.
Did you like them in the new one?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me because I still have nostalgia to the practical, right, and haven't seen digital, but they did a good job. I thought it was really cool. It just didn't fit because they're very much like, like 80s rap figures or whatever, 80s and 90s. It just didn't fit in the newer age. It felt a little bit out of place. But
like the purple mohawk and everything.
They didn't have that like auto-tune vibe going. Josh, what'd you think?
Bebop and Rocksteady, Josh, for reference, was a warthog and a rhinoceros.
Yeah.
Not
Good to know.
Toka and Razor are snapping turtle and a wolf.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Josh, what did you think about the practical effects in this film? I was curious what you thought about some of the stuff when they were throwing people around and doing that.
Did you like
kind
the
of stuff.
suits?
The suits were, like, we talked about them, like, being so sweaty and, like, all of the guys, like, going through so much. I was watching it and them doing that, even though, like, they were in these ginormous suits. I was like, gosh, that's got to be so, like, painful. It's so hard. But they were amazing because they did so many, like, high kicks and different things like that in these ginormous suits. And I was like, props to those guys because that has got to be the most ridiculous thing to do on the whole planet. Not even just like kicking high and doing these crazy things, but at times like grabbing another turtle and swinging them around in these ginormous suits on, going back to back. And did they really like do those flips too? Oh my gosh.
Right.
Every time.
Did you find them like believable?
I mean,
because some people
for 1991, yes, they were good. No, because they looked like, even though they looked weird, they fit in a really good way into like a natural like setting. You know, obviously you didn't look at that and be like, that has to be just like what happens if a turtle like gets something spilled on it and it grows up to be a mutant like a human turtle hybrid or whatever. But it looked really good. I mean, just like for what it was and when it was made, I don't know if they could have done any better than that, you know?
Did you see any of the trailers for the new Michael Bay Turtles?
When it came out.
Did you like look at those turtles and think that they looked as good or less good
They just
or
look
like comparable?
weird, man. You know, I think
So-
those ones look weird just because of I think almost the turtles are supposed to look like not as real, you know, if that makes any sense. Like, I feel like these turtles seem more like they're in place than like those ones when I saw the trailers for them. That's just personal.
No, that's exactly what I was trying to get around to, because a lot of people believe that this is the 90s version is the best like look of the turtles that they've ever done. Like even some of the cartoons, like the Nickelodeon cartoon series looks very much like the suits that they have in this one.
They look so creepy.
Yeah, it's out of place.
It's weird.
I'm uncomfortable
They
staring
also
at
made
them.
this is a whole thing we could go off on that we're not going to, but they also made the turtles like friggin' 10 feet tall.
Yeah.
They're basically all the Hulk in it, and it's terrible.
Yeah, aren't
There's
they
no
like
point in
4
being
Hulks?
a ninja if you're as strong as a tank and you are bulletproof.
You're not gonna hide if you're 10 feet tall.
It's
Also,
bad.
they're teenagers. I feel like they forgot about that part.
There's like the name teenage, we'll keep it, but the body, no. We're going full steroids, 6 years of T shots, whatever, and you're gonna love it. With
Did you
lots
say
of
teat shots?
T shots, like testosterone shots.
Vincent.
I was very confused.
Sorry, you gotta get your T booster. Is that better? I don't know.
Okay. I have one more question. Is there any deep moments in this movie, or is it all? Did you guys like recognize anything that you could look at and be like, "Wow, that's kind of a deep thought," or did you just see it all as just kind of a fun cartoon?
Yeah, I got one. I think it's kind of just glazed over, to be honest. I think they should have given it more attention. But when Donnie's kind of worked up about the fact that his origin story was just kind of a mistake, like he really struggles with that. And it just quickly moves on to the next fight scene almost after that. But I'm like, that's something powerful. Like they could have spent a little bit more time understanding, like, if I didn't have this, I'd just be a turtle. I wouldn't be a ninja. I wouldn't do all the things I did. And we just got dumb luck that we happened to have Ooze fall on us. Like it was it felt different from the rest of the movie, but it felt pretty important part of the movie to me. So
Yeah. Well, it's all about just like I was talking to a friend recently. We were just messaging back and forth because me and him just chat all the time. I was like, man, you've done really well for yourself. Like we like essentially we have a very similar like upbringing and background, and he's just done really well for himself. And I was like, man, you've really like worked hard and done. He's like, most of it has just been dumb luck. Like I've been really lucky at what I've been able to do, and I'm just like, but still, like it was like you worked for it. He's like, but it was luck, and it's like the same type of thing. Like those turtles, like maybe they were just feeding in the right place at the right time. The best algae in the whole like sewer system. I don't know, but like a lot of people forget about that. Like a lot of times, like the good things that happen to you are just because you're in the right place at the right time, or you're meeting the right people, or you're just you're saying something or doing something, and someone's like, I remember that, and then it comes back around or whatever. But the ooze got you, man. I don't know.
yeah,
Lucky ooze. But that was a fast moment. I didn't really even think about that until you brought it up. I was like, huh. I don't know, Vince, did you see anything?
No, I thought of that same thing. Like he goes through this existential crisis where he's like, oh, I thought we were special, but we were just an accident. Like there's no point to any of us. Like how if that was you, like to find out that your whole life you believed you were something, that there was a bigger meaning to it all, that there's something that had to come from it, and there's just some scientist is just like, no, we accidentally made this ooze. Now you're here. And then I also, when I was thinking about that, I also thought of the moral, whether it was morally right to change Toka and Razor back into their original form, giving these creatures intelligence. I know they're still babies, but giving these creatures intelligence, and their way that they solve it is seeing them as like no, you should not be an intelligent species, and forcing them to go back into their regular wolf and snapping turtle forms instead of like taking them under their wing and being like, no, we're gonna teach you how to be like. Is that a bigger moral question? Like, did they do the right thing there? Whose responsibility is it to decide, like,
I think
whether
that
someone gets
if
intelligence?
I think that if we decide to like go that far, I think that we could say that there is a big ethical question in the movie, but I don't think that the creators of this movie were like, we're really gonna throw out some ethical bombs in here, like who really gets to decide all of these things. So I think if you take it on a limb and keep stretching, then yes, we could see some deep things in this movie. But besides that, I would say not so much. Like the moment that you guys mentioned, I remember it now, but it really was so fast, and so just like watching the movie for the first time ever, barely even noticed it.
yeah. I mean, it was probably the right move to move quickly on it. It was supposed to be a fun, lighthearted, like that was the point of the movie. But
Yeah.
it was interesting because I was curious more about that thought, or it would have played more into the plot point maybe, but didn't.
Well, this goes to a Rick and Morty reference, since everyone knows I love Rick and Morty. But there's a point when Rick like makes this battery-powered suit essentially for the dog and sticks it on its head so that it can go to the bathroom and the toilet instead of like making a mess on the floor. And then he's like, "Oh, we gotta take the batteries out at one point." And then April's like, "But now we've given him like." We made him aware. We can't just take that away. And then the dog eventually just gets smarter and like takes over the planet. But it's just kind of one of those questions. Like, that's a good question, but I don't think that this 1990s film was really thinking about that. I think they were focusing on Bart Simpson sales, pizza sales, and how can we make more money off these rad ninja suits and tell a good story at the same time. Because I loved it. Like that's where I want to go with this. Like it was good.
So if you want to go down a plot hole, or a black hole,
Yes.
look up the YouTubes get on YouTube, look up the potential sequels to TMNT 2, because that whole idea of the secret of the ooze and where they came from was actually in what people believe and have put together over the years. It was a plot point that was removed from the movie. Originally, this movie was supposed to have the professor in it was supposed to be Baxter. He turns into a fly in the comic books, fly person. Anyway, so I'm just gonna hurry and I'm just gonna we can kind of wrap things up after this, right? But I'm just gonna hurry and read through what this movie was originally and the idea that they had to go on before they scrapped it and kind of turned it into the movie that it was.
Okay.
This is also from IMDb, and like I said, jump on YouTube, and it's a black hole of going down this stuff. I listened to a couple hours of this kind of stuff, right? So
40 videos deep.
The secret of the ooze was supposed to be that it was created by aliens. They're called, how do you say them? Utroms?
Yeah, Krang is the leader of them, but yeah.
Yeah. So the original idea that the ooze was created by the Utroms, but the subplot got cut from the film. There would have been triceratons, and Baxter Stockman would have been in it. In the original script, the film was to end with a cliffhanger with Professor Perry being revealed to be a robotic shell for an Utrom, alien, which are the aliens from the comic series. This idea was dropped due to fear that kids would mistake it for Krang, the villain from the TV series, and confuse them. And so basically what they did is they created this movie where they track down the Ooze to the lab. They find a trans-dimensional portal there. The Triceratops, or whatever they're called, come out of the portal. They have to fight those guys. And basically the Ooze was created by the Utroms, the aliens, brought to Earth. They were trying to clean it up to cover up their mess, and the professor was one of those aliens. So in this original script, Shredder had actually died. He wasn't going to be in it. Toka and Razor wasn't going to be in it. And it was going to set up this third movie with this big interdimensional plot. It's pretty out there. That they might have been able to pull off now, but in the 90s, I don't know if the people would be ready to buy that kind of
They
stuff.
have pulled it off now. Watch not the most recent cartoon series of Ninja Turtles, but the one before.
The Nickelodeon
They get
one.
into all of that, and
it's cool.
it's really, really good.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, there's so many things I need
Casey's
to watch.
weekend is planned out.
Yep. After this, you won't find me till Monday morning. I'll be watching TMNT. No, that was rad.
Yeah.
It's kind of a cool it's a cool thing that I would like to see done. I just really don't think they would have been able to pull that off.
They're gonna have to have like a combination of like Christopher Nolan, Michael Bay, and Taika Waititi. They have to have a hybrid director who fits all of those things. Josh is over here just shaking his head. Why are you shaking your head? This is an idea. Don't shake your head at me like that. It's okay.
That's just shaking my head. That's all I can say. Just like SMH, shaking my head. Don't get me wrong. I liked this, and it was fun, and it was super cool. But I don't think I could ever see Christopher Nolan sitting down and being like, you know what? After the enormously huge success that Tenet had, which it will, I think my next move is going to be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Intergalactic Battle.
I mean,
Well,
maybe you need the right guy. You know.
here's my idea. Get ready for it. Just
Maybe
absorb
Taika.
this.
Who knows?
So
Yeah, that makes sense.
you get this, like I'm thinking, oh gosh, what's that movie where he goes into space and then comes back because of the
Interstellar.
blood? So Interstellar, right? Like you take his idea from Interstellar a little bit, then you combine like the humor of Taika Waititi, and then you just have the Michael Bay effects, and you're like, this movie.
Please don't put Michael Bay effects in another
Yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie.
Okay, who's another good person?
Please
who
don't
can
put
throw it
Michael
in
Bay
there?
effects in there anymore.
Yeah, that was
Too
much.
Turtles are ninjas. They're ninjas. They're not supposed to be seen. There's not supposed to be explosions. They're supposed to sneak around and be quiet. And it's like, solving stuff on the down
Practice
low.
the art
Yeah.
of stealth.
Michael Bay does not do that.
Yeah.
What if they were Hobbit sized instead of like full human sized?
The difference from these 90s Ninja Turtles movies to the Michael Bay ones is like the difference from the very first Fast and the Furious to the most recent Fast and the Furious. Like it's just one comparing extreme to the other.
Actually, which brings me to my idea for an episode. Are the Fast and the Furious movies still relevant? No, they are not.
That was a great episode.
That's the whole episode.
That's my whole episode. No, yeah.
Okay, I want to bring up one last thing. I know I just said that,
You're
but,
like
but
Hobbs
we
and Shaw.
we can't go this entire time and not really like talk about this part.
Really sing
And-
this part?
Yeah.
Kate, yeah, Josh, I just wanted you to know. I just want to know what you thought the moment they kicked through the door and Vanilla Ice starts singing his ninja rap, and this is the climax of the movie.
I loved it. And the thing is that the song was like so catchy and good, and I'd even heard that song before. The song was so catchy and good that I was even like paying less attention to what they were actually doing and fighting the guys, and I was just like, "Go ninja, go ninja, go, go ninja, go ninja, go."
Josh is dancing by the way.
He was up on all.
Damn right I am.
So you liked it? You liked that?
I did. I loved it. I thought it was super fun. It was super catchy, and like I love how like in it, Vanilla Ice is just up there on stage, and these guys break through, and everyone starts fighting. And instead of being like, "Dude, we got to clear out of here," he's like, "You know what? This is a great place to drop my new single."
which just happened to be about ninjas and turtles.
Yeah.
How appropriate.
Yeah, I thought it was very impressive that somehow the dance moves between Vanilla Ice and his backup dancers matched the Ninja Turtles dance moves.
Yeah.
They were all on the same page somehow.
They all coordinated beforehand, like, yo, this fight is probably going to end up here. Just in case,
Yeah.
here's your choreography. Learn it.
Learn it. It's the music brought them together, and their feet just move. They're good.
I really had that same reaction of just like just watching the movie. I'm like, all right, we're leading up to the Vanilla Ice scene. Here we go. And then he kicks it through. I'm like, oh, okay, Vanilla Ice. And then by the end of it, I'm like, why am I so into this?
I love that they
like,
guitar.
this is still cool. It kind of holds up.
That was the best. I loved it. I thought when you first get in there, right, and you're like, man, this is the most 90s band like group ever. And like, I didn't recognize it as Vanilla Ice at first. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was like, who is this? Because I was like, right, as a kid when I saw that, so it didn't like mean anything to me.
Uh-huh.
And then I was like, oh my gosh, who is this? And then I was like, it's Vanilla Ice. And then you see the guitar going, and those guys are just like all going. The dancers, you're like, I get with this. I get with this.
And the guitar moment where they like press it and he like turned it up so loud that it blasts the guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Goodbye, Shredder.
That's
We
how they
cranked
defeat
this to
Shredder is
11.
with
There's
90s
one,
rap.
There's one moment in
Ninja
this
rap.
There's one moment in this entire movie that Shredder touches a turtle and he throws Donnie across the room. That's the only time that Shredder actually hits a turtle, and then he ends up killing himself.
Yeah.
He drinks the whole thing and then he just gets so powerful that he just has to freaking testosterone rage until he brings the whole dock down on himself.
Also, can we laugh that because he mutated like his size and everything like that, also his like all his like spikes
Yeah.
and stuff from his uniform multiplied as well? It's like, were those actually growing on him?
Yeah, and I'm just really glad that he grew into that helmet, because his helmet was the size of his torso before he went Super Shredder. It was huge.
Super Shredder.
It's like Dragon Ball Z going from Saiyan to Super Saiyan. Shredder. Super Shredder!
They even
Over
say,
5,000.
they even said that in the movie. It's a Super Shredder, which they,
Is
they
it
always
like-
called it.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Is it like safe to assume that like if he had not been like under this dock that he probably would have destroyed the Ninja Turtles if he actually if they actually fought?
That's one of my like biggest problems is like they have this big fight in the club, and Shredder pushes down one of the speakers, gets up on top of it just to give this big speech about how I'm going to use this ooze and I will turn more animals into monsters and da 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 da. And it's like, why didn't you just bail, man? Like, you didn't have to tell them your plan. If you would have just ducked out while they were fighting people in the club, you could have achieved your goal. What were you doing? Also, you let them feed your animals donuts. Why did you
He's
not
just
start
watching that. He's
fighting?
like, I will accept this ceremony.
It's the same thing at the TGRI factory where they come in, steal the ooze, leave. Then the Ninja Turtles get there and they decide to come back just to show them that they have the ooze to fight them.
Why?
It's just like we're teasing you with the ooze. Like, oh, got it, you don't.
So true.
That was good. I still, despite all the blatant plot holes and the shortcomings of this film, I freaking will watch it again. I guarantee it. There's no question in my mind that I'm gonna see it and be like, I could go for that right now. Like, it's so good.
I can't wait to watch this movie with my kids. I love this movie.
Do you watch this with your kids yet?
I haven't showed this one yet, but I can tell you the greatest accomplishment of me as a father is my daughter. Her favorite show in the entire world was the Ninja Turtles cartoon show I'm telling you on
yeah.
TV. So much so that because my whole home is, we use the Google Home stuff to everything on TV, to where I set up a shortcut to where if I just say, "Hey Google, it's turtle time," it would start playing it on the TV.
Oh, that's awesome.
We could do that all the time.
That is
That's
so
so
cool.
Yeah.
Man, Jeremy.
Josh,
Oh, sorry.
how many times are you going to watch it?
I'll watch it again sometime. Obviously, I did not have the nostalgic effect as you did. And so it didn't, even though it was fun, it was enjoyable, I don't see myself watching it again in the near future.
What about
But I will not doubt that sometime down the road, I see Ninja Turtles 2 pop up on Josh Flicks, which will be my very popular streaming service, which I will create and become a millionaire. It'll pop up on Josh Flicks, and I'll be like, Ninja Turtles? Cowabunga it is.
So you'll watch it before you watch Willow. Is what
Will
you're
you
saying.
watch any other
I will
Turtles
never
movies?
watch Willow again. Ever. Sorry.
Will you watch any? Will you give any other Turtles movies a chance now?
So the first one was good. And if it was darker and a little bit like deeper, I could go for it. If it's still funny and stuff, right?
Give it a try.
Yeah, don't
I
waste your
could do
time on the
that.
third one though.
Third one, no go.
Probably shouldn't.
That's yeah.
Probably shouldn't.
And the new one's like a no go, not at all. Not even like with Megan Fox or anything like that.
If you want to watch it for Megan Fox, go for it. But that's
Okay.
about.
No, I'm good. So it was good.
Good.
I did like Ninja Vanish. That was fun.
Also, I liked how they fight in the dark when there's like what, and they like steals all the bells.
bells.
Off the thing. I had to bring that up. I'm sorry, my sound.
The guy's just there holding the bells, like, what just happened?
Will this do? Well, that was good. Jeremy, what do you think? Like, if you were to like I hadn't watched this film in probably like 20 years, to be honest with you. Probably less. But if you had a friend who'd never watched this film, like Josh, for instance, who was kind of a little bit skeptical on it, how would you describe this and why should they watch it?
Yeah, I mean, I watched it yesterday, and I liked it just as much as I did when I watched it the first time. Like, it's hard to see a movie like that holds up with that. But I mean, if you're looking for a movie to where you just want to be entertained, you just want to watch some cool fighting, some cool action, laugh a couple times, like, this is entertaining through and through. There's no point where you're like, oh, this is getting kind of boring or kind of old. Like, they keep the pace going throughout the whole thing, and it's a great entertaining. If you're just like bored and want to get a pick me up or a laugh, like, watch this movie. It's on Netflix right now too.
Yeah.
Like, watch it.
I like it. Do it. Anything else before we close out?
No, I think we covered everything. What a fantastic experience we just had together, guys.
Do we need to end with a cowabunga all at the same time? I feel like that's
All
gonna be
of us.
necessary.
Putting our left
Throw
arms.
like 4 fingers in there, guys. Everyone just make your hands. No, thank you for coming on, Jeremy, though. Really,
Yeah.
I'm glad that I threw that out there and you actually took me seriously, so it was fun. I'm glad to invite people on and to talk movies. That's what this is about, really. I was like thinking about it early in the week, and not to get nostalgic or too like, oh yeah, here's the deep moment of this podcast. But like when in our intro, right? It's like everyone loves talking about movies. Let's talk about movies. I was like, I gotta talk to more people who I talk to movies about and tell them to come talk movies with us on the podcast. So it's good. But yeah, anything else before we hurry and do a cowabunga dude and get out of here?
Vote on the Marvel bracket. Is that gonna be over?
Oh,
That'll be probably over by the time this is out.
It will be over, but just so everyone knows, this has been super cool to do the Marvel bracket and to see which films are like doing well, and it's been very surprising. Where we're currently at is we're going into the finals.
It's the final matchup,
And
which will be Endgame versus the winner of a coin flip between Avengers Infinity War and Thor Ragnarok, because they tied 20 votes to 20 votes.
yeah, and I just want Thor Ragnarok to win.
So
I second that.
by the time that you listen to this, we'll have already decided, done a little Instagram video about it, but we're about to do this, and I'm super excited.
Yeah.
Next week's movie.
Waterworld.
No.
Just
I'll
kidding,
watch
just
Waterworld sometime with you, Vince, but not next week, because we can change this if you want, but next week is
Onward.
Onward.
kidding. Oh, nice.
Yeah, we
That
need
comes
to-
out
If
this
you
weekend.
guys are cool with that.
Yeah, let's do it.
We need to do Onward, actually. I threw it on the doc list because I was like, it's coming out soon. And so next week, we'll be watching Onward. Josh, give us a quick, brief synopsis of what Onward might be.
Tom Holland and Chris Pratt make their way through a fantasy world with half of their dead father.
Also, it's animated.
Is this
The
like
end.
a Weekend at Bernie's type thing?
This is like Pixar is going to be amazing, and from what I've read, it's like Pixar has so many classics, and this might not be like the best Pixar movie that's ever made, but you'll love it just like basically any other Pixar movie. And it can also, they say, can have some like, you know, kind of like heart, like gut-wrenching moments as well that'll make you tear up a little bit and make you feel a lot of things. So.
Oh, I figured it out because half their father, because I know why. But we're going to watch it. We're going to enjoy it. So once again, Jeremy, thank you for coming on. Everyone throw your ninja paws in here and we'll just do a cowabunga and get ourselves out here. 1, 2, 3, cowabunga!